Okay, in this video I'm going to be talking about cleaning bearings. So I got this board about 2 weeks ago. It's got about 790 miles on it now, and it's on its original set of bearings. So I'm going to be kind of maintaining the whole thing, but as part of that I'm going to be cleaning out those bearings and putting some fresh grease in them. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my skate tool, my favorite skate tool, and I'm going to take the wheel nut off there, like that, and then the speed ring's going to fall off that side, and it's still in the axle on this side. Grab that out, and then while I stick up my board here, I'm going to use the axle to take out the bearing spacer and the other bearing. I've got the bearings out of both wheels, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take my favorite tool is a push pin for this, and I'm going to, from the outside in, pull off the rubber shields. So this shield here has been smashed in pretty good, so it's probably going to be bad, and it might not come out very easily. So I'm just going to do what it takes to get it out. There we go. Got that off. And I'm just going to throw this one away since it's bad. And I've got a whole bunch of extras that I've saved from previous old bearings. So I'm just going to use one of those when I'm done. Like that. And like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take all the bearings, all the speed rings, and all the bearing spacers, and I'm going to stick them into this fabric bag. So this bag is just a fabric camera bag from a camera I used to have. So something like this could probably work as well. You just want it to be fabric, and you probably want to have a zipper on it. And this is going to be strange, but this is truly the easiest, best way I found in years and years of cleaning bearings for getting bearings cleaned. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bunch of old toothbrushes, and I'm going to cut the heads off, and I'm going to stick them in the bag. And what the toothbrushes do is they are going to help agitate the bearings. And I'm just going to do about 7 or 8. You should probably have easy access to old toothbrushes, because every few months you should be changing out to a fresh toothbrush. So there we go. So what I'm going to do with this fabric bag is I'm going to put some laundry detergent in there, like that. I'm going to zip it up, make sure it's closed, and what I have done in the past is actually safety pin that shut, but that should be good enough. And I'm going to throw it in with a load of laundry. And I don't have anything special in there. I've got some towels and a blanket that the dog sleeps in, and some socks, and stuff like that that's not too special. And I am going to run a load of laundry to wash my bearings. So while that's going, I'm just going to stick my wheels and everything in a sink of soapy water, and I'm going to use another toothbrush, and I'm just going to give everything a quick wipe down. So the reason to clean the wheels is as much just to keep my hands clean when I'm putting everything all back together as anything else. So I'm just gonna let this soak until the laundry's done. So I forgot you actually can't put the shields in with the bearings when you wash them, because they will actually end up back on the bearings, and then the bearings won't get cleaned. So I had to stop it and take those off, but here it is, fresh off the washer, and you can see one of the toothbrushes lost some bristles there, but it's mostly dry already because of the spin cycle, and you can see these look pretty good. There you go, 8 bearings. And I'm just gonna let this air dry for maybe another 5 or 10 minutes. Just because I don't want to be any water in there when I put it in the grease. So you could just put these in the dryer, but they honestly dry a lot faster just taking them out and bringing them in the air. So it's only been like 3 minutes and they're already completely dry. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put the shields on the back. Get the bristle out of there. And I'm going to use these green shields because I like that. There we go. So now it's time to grease them back up. So you could use a oil, like 3-in-1 oil, or speed cream, stuff like that, and that's easy enough to put in. A lot of people used to recommend white lithium grease, but I honestly don't think it's that good anymore. I really have moved completely away from that. What I use now is Schaefer's 274, which you can get really cheaply on Amazon, and I just put it in these dental syringes, and it's really easy just to apply in all the bearings. Then you put the shields back on. The bearings are basically ready to go. All right. And this Schaefer's grease is really good. It's got a bunch of moly in it, which is it's a friction reducing additive, and it's also got a really high water resistance, so it does a really good job of staying in and protecting the bearings from any water intrusion, and it doesn't wash out. So one of the big risks you have with bearings, and the reason why they go bad, is basically because you lose all of your lubricant, not because it gets dirty. And so while you're re-lubing it, you want to clean out everything, all the old crap first, but really the main thing you're doing when you're cleaning and re-lubing your bearings is really you're just re-lubing your bearings. That's really the important thing. So this Schaefer's grease I use is an aluminum grease, and the grease that comes in most bearings is a lithium grease, and they are somewhat compatible, but it's better to wash out all the old grease first. So there we go. So we're just about ready to put everything back together, but there's something I like to do, and I've got this Super Lube silicone PTFE grease, and you can use this with basically any grease, but this stuff is really good for a different set of reasons. But I like to grease up the bearing seats a little bit, and it doesn't take much at all, just enough to get a little coat on there, and that's just to help so that the bearings seat in fully right away. So now sure many people here know the drill. I'm going to put the outside bearing on first, and it just pushes in really easily because of the grease. Then I'm going to put on the speed ring, the inside bearing, and the bearing spacer. And there we go. The other speed ring. And then, because this is an E-skate, I'm going to do an extra step, and I'm going to put some thread lock on the thread there. And then I'm going to put on the nut. So, with the reason you do that with E-skate is you put a lot more miles on E-skate a lot faster. And so things can loosen up without you noticing them. So the bearings are cleaned, re-lubed, and they're back on the truck. So why do I like this method so much of using the washing machine and the bag with the toothbrushes? Well, first off is because it's easy. There's other cleaning methods that also do a very good job, but most of them are going to require some work from you. Really, probably the best method is to sit there with a toothbrush and scrub out the bearings one by one. But, you know, that's work. That takes time. I like it because it utilizes a machine that's made for cleaning in order to help you clean stuff. And it also does a really good job. So, because it's got the washing machine where it's got, you know, the wash cycle and it drains and it doesn't rinse and it does all that stuff, it's actually able to wash out stuff that's able to pass through this bag, because this bag is, you know, even though it's thick fabric, it's not, you know, impenetrable to dust and dirt. And so that stuff is actually able to wash away and not be in the bearings when you're done. Whereas if you have one of those shake bottles and you put the bearings in and then you shake it up, all that dust and dirt is staying in the bottle with the bearings and isn't being washed away. And some of it is going to end up back in the bearings when you're done. So I feel it does a really good job of washing out the bearings as well. Lastly, because of the spin cycle, it actually does a really good job of getting the bearings dry quickly. If you were to wash the bearings under the sink, and you know, with the toothbrush method, and you get them really cleaned, they're still holding quite a bit of water when you're done, and it can take a while for them to dry. But with the spin cycle, it's just, they're basically 98% dry, and they just need some airflow, you know, and some space, and a few minutes, and they're dry already. So this has become my go-to method, and I really vouch for it. So there we go. Longboard technology, over and out.